I'm Dr. Narissa Bauer with Let's Talk Kids Health. Today's video is about school advocacy and tips for parents on how to navigate, advocate, and collaborate with the school. It's never a great feeling to know that your child's struggling in school, whether it's that they're not into learning, they don't like to go to school, they're having a hard time with a particular subject, or they're just not motivated, right? And they're feeling badly about themselves. It can be really hard and stressful for working parents to know how to best support them and how to get the teacher to communicate when you're busy at work and how to start that conversation, right? Oftentimes parents will come to me and ask me, well, I've heard of this IEP thing, and does my child need it? Or how do I even go about asking for support from school? What is appropriate to ask for? And back when I was in academia and I was doing research on the best way to support families with ADHD, part of that, as you know, we developed the group visit model, or TEACH, Tailoring Education for ADHD and Children's Health. And during that intervention, we actually had one session dedicated about school advocacy. And one of the things through that research is that families had no idea how to even begin. It was very overwhelming. It was a lot of alphabets, such as IDEA, or Individuals with Disability Education Act, IEPs, Individual Education Plans, IFSPs, Individual Family Service Plans, and 504s, and when, what is what, and how to go about getting it, right? And so we wanted to dedicate one entire session just to this. Oftentimes, it was usually a topic that was brought up briefly, just because, visits in the busy pediatrics office are not that long. And so there's so many things to discuss. But really helping families feel empowered to know how to ask for help, what that process looks like. It was a core feature was that it's just overwhelming. I don't even know where to start. So in the process of the research that we did, we engaged a small group of family volunteers who are advisors to our study team, and they helped us develop a cool visual roadmap. We found out that families really like to hear stories about how other children and their parents navigated the system, even though realizing that every child and family is unique. They just like to hear those stories because it gave them some sort of visual to know at least what to expect or what can be expected from that process. And in order to kind of figure out, okay, what is the best way to get this information to families? Could we draw out the process? Is it just a one-page handout? What would be most helpful for families? And in the end, we ended up, and when I say we, it wasn't just me, it was a whole team of people who I'm giving a total shout out to in the blog post. Research Jam at Indiana University, they are awesome. They helped really bring together visual communication and research and patient engagement techniques and made this awesome brochure for us. And now I'm going to be sharing that with all of you. We have it in English and Spanish, but at the heart of it is 4 characters, storylines that you can read. They're color-coded, and then you can kind of read each storyline to see what are the steps to engaging and interacting with the school if I'm concerned, right? So the thing is, first of all, recognizing that it's not a one and done thing. As children grow, expectations grow, and so depending on children's needs and strengths, you may need to revisit this process periodically, right? And so again, the first step is always talking to your child's doctor about your concerns. The second one is to request a case conference with the school and how to go about doing that, what to expect. And then after that, you can request for testing to see if your child is eligible for an individual education plan or a 504. Now, in the handout, we go into some of those differences, and in the blog post, I will share with you some of those. However, there is a process to doing this, right? And not every child can qualify for an IEP. There are 13 different conditions that will qualify a child, but just having the diagnosis of ADHD per se, even though it is on the list, if the child is functioning okay in the classroom, the child may not qualify at that point in time. So I always tell parents, first of all, when you're embarking on this road, after you get the diagnosis, to kind of be monitoring how your child's doing along with your child's doctor and the team, right? And then be on the lookout for how they're doing with their learning, how they're doing with completing tasks, because it's all about that executive functioning piece that is underdeveloped, and there's some challenges there, right? And potentially some of these kids might have underlying learning disabilities. So we need to be monitoring carefully and touching base with our own kids about how they're feeling about school. But you never want to initiate this when you're in a moment of crisis. Because the way it works is once you decide you want to start the process, you need to put this in writing and date it, and that gives the school 10 business working days to decide whether or not, based on evidence of what they have in the child's functioning, if they're going to proceed with testing. And then if they agree to doing more, that resets the clock again to giving the school 50 business working days, okay, to do the testing that's needed, to get more rating scales from the teacher and the parent, to do classroom observations, and then the school psychologist typically will compile a report, and the child will either qualify for an individual education plan or not. And then in that instance, then a child can be eligible then for a 504, which again, this brochure walks you through that. It can be really confusing, right? But I just told you right now that this whole process is not a quick process, especially if we know a child who has ADHD, anxiety, depression, any condition that can affect how they attend or how they learn. If that condition starts impairing their day-to-day in the school, then it might be something that we need to just be on the safe side to help make sure that everybody on the team, including those in school that are supporting your child's learning, understand kind of what your child's individual needs are. So if you want your free handout and the download for this, please make sure to check out the blog below, submit the request, you'll get it delivered right to your inbox. And if you would like the Spanish version, please email me directly and I'll send that to you. Hope you found this helpful.